Oh, Joshua Shaffron. Today is our fourth mad science homeschool experiment
Oh, cool.
coming up
This afternoon.
after this. So far we've done elephant toothpaste.
I remember that one. Although I don't think you told us how it went.
Well, I could do that. Elephant toothpaste. Then we did lava lamps. We did lava lamps that don't require heat. They're Alka-Seltzer fueled lava lamps. I actually just recently reinvigorated mine with an extra couple tabs of Alka-Seltzer. Quite fast.
Your lava lamp.
Yep. And then we did rainbow in a jar. Last week we did rainbow in a jar. It was a density experiment with like a mason jar, and you pour different types of things, and you end up with a rainbow in a jar. And today, oobleck.
What?
Oobleck.
Oobleck?
Oobleck.
Is that like what Michael Bublé has for dinner?
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know who Michael Bublé is?
No. As a matter of fact, who the heck is Michael Bublé?
He's an artist. He's a singer.
Oobleck is the it's the cornstarch slime where you put pressure on it, it hardens up, and you let go, and then it runs through your fingers. And you can do all sorts of stuff. You can make glow in the dark oobleck. You can make magnetic oobleck.
How does that differ from slime?
I think there's probably a different ingredients, I think.
Good God, Telman. Yeah, you've been real helpful.
Yeah, I haven't looked up.
It's just different. It's made from different stuff, so it's different.
It's different stuff. I haven't looked up the recipe for slime, but I have looked up the recipe for oobleck, and that's what we're making today. By George. By George.
And there you go.
My God. I'll tell you what. So I was not feeling like live streaming today, in case you didn't pick up on that.
Me or the audience? Here we go.
Who's ever here? I had a
Michael Bublé is exactly who I was thinking of. So somebody's on the same wavelength as me.
And then we got Tomo. Tomo, I was talking with not with you. I was talking about you behind your back. To Harris Fellman recently. We weren't actually
he put in a nice link for you. That's to a Michael Bublé.
A Canadian singer. Nice. No.
We hit a nerve with Michael Bublé.
Apparently you did. I still don't know who Bublé is, but what is
he's got an old soul. He's got like a like the classics, or the what they call the old standards feel to him.
Cool. Well, Bublé, apparently you're doing something right.
That's what they tell me.
That's good. But what happened was I had a meeting earlier today that was not the best. It was emotionally taxing and made me feel like crap about myself. And I did not want to live stream. And one of the biggest challenges that we all face, but especially you as an entrepreneur who, if you're out there and you're trying to get the word out, you're trying to get more momentum in your business, you're trying to get more exposure, you're trying to get more visibility, you're trying to get more subscribers, more viewers, more of an audience. One of the biggest challenges that we all face is our emotional state, right?
I'm with you, Tana.
What is the problem? I haven't seen Bublé's Christmas specials. I don't even know who Bublé is. Jeez Louise. What's with all the
animosity?
Harshity. Unbelievable.
I think you're just overly sensitive today.
I'll give you some oversensitivity.
All right. Go.
But here's the thing. Is that that things can happen in our day. We can have conversations with people. We can get thrown off our game, as they say, and not really want to do the stuff. And it doesn't matter what the stuff is. But for a lot of people, when we talk about building an email list, one of the biggest objections that I've heard over the years is I don't know what I'd write about every day. And it just so happens when we talk to people about starting
live streaming
live every day, what do they say? Same thing. I don't know what I'd talk about every day.
It is a very similar thing. And then, I mean, there's also like when you really don't feel like doing it and you're in the doldrums. I mean, that never happens, right? I mean, you're always ready to rock, and you never get down, do you, Tillman?
Never.
No.
But here's the thing. Is they're two different situations, but I think they're actually symptoms of the same problem. Is that in one situation, people they think they wouldn't have something to talk about every day, and so they don't come up with the list, or they're stunted in terms of having the creative capabilities of really being able to think about what that might look like.
Right.
And for other people that are in more of the situation of like, oh, I really don't want to do this today. Right now, I'm just not up for it. Right. So there's the bigger picture of what that might look like in the future and not knowing what that might look like. And that stops you from doing it. And then there's the feeling like crap today, and that stops you from doing it.
Right.
Right. What's the answer?
What's my answer, or what's the answer, or what's everybody's tuning in?
There's only one definitive answer, and it's probably yours, and everything else is wrong. That's usually the way this goes, right?
Not by a long shot.
What's your answer? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this issue? I mean, obviously you face it as well.
Well, I call it momentuming, or the law of momentuming, right? And I saw this video a couple of years ago. You know, we've all seen these videos of like really intricate dominoes that have been built up, and they knock down, and you have, you know, the chain reaction. And anybody that's been familiar with any of my work since like the early 2000s knows that I built NPOD around that application. And something that I discovered about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, that I didn't know before, is there was a demonstration. It's a short little YouTube video, and like literally 90 seconds. And this guy is knocking over these dominoes, but each domino is 50% bigger than the one in front of it. And so on and so on and so on. And it starts with literally like, you almost need a microscope to see this tiny little domino. And he's got 13 of them set up, and each one is 50% bigger and 50% heavier, and so on and so on and so on. And he knocks over that first one. And oh, by the way, the 13th one weighs about 200 pounds. And he tips it over, and just like a regular row of dominoes, and they all fall over. And it really got me thinking, because, and that's what I created this whole theory of the law of momentuming about, because oftentimes, and then he goes on to say, and this is what really blew my mind. He goes on to say that if he could continue the chain, and he set up 29 in a row with the same inflection, that the 29th one would be as big and as heavy as the Empire State Building. So imagine that. This little tiny domino, boop, can knock over the Empire State Building, but it can't do it from just the first one to the second one, or the first one to the 29th one. You've got to have all the steps in between. And what he was talking about was that you can't go more than about 50% bigger. So you can go anywhere between 101% to 150% bigger, and the momentum will continue, and it will continue to grow on itself. Well, the other thing is true too. Like, if you don't move ahead, then the inertia will grow on itself too, and it'll become bigger and bigger and bigger to overcome. So I think like the biggest problem is that we're trying to knock over dominoes that are just too big from where we are right now. We're trying to take a big leap that we're just not there yet. And so if we take a step back and just break it down and do something that's easy, but make sure that you keep the next step going, like what we're doing right now. I mean, like I wasn't particularly inspired either. I wasn't in the same frame of mind that you were, but here I am, and it got me going, and I had no intention of talking about this particular subject, but I think it's really valuable and really, I mean, there's a lot that we can take away from that.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And I'm not quite sure who it is, but somebody jumped in and said, do it anyway. Right. And I mean, honestly, that's a pretty smooth way of summing it up, right? Is what do you do when you don't feel like doing it?
Imani Martin.
Awesome. Hey, Imani. Nice to see you. Says loves the dominoes analogy. That's right.
That's Carl.
Awesome.
Thanks, Carl.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, so I came up with this whole thing and I call it the ESD, knocking over your Empire State Domino. And it's possible, but you just have to you have to realize like where you are. Are you on domino number 15?
That's right.
And you're trying to go to 29? Or are you on, maybe you're on domino like 26 and you're still trying to topple over 29. But guess what? That's still too far. It's too far a stretch. You know, it's
That's
just put one block in front of another. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's right. Ugh. Yep.
And here's the thing, like when you don't feel like doing it anyway, like when you don't like when you're uninspired, it's probably because you're trying to go all the way to inspired from a state of uninspired and being just like down in the doldrums.
That's right.
And so, but if you just, instead of going like maybe even just wallow in the doldrums for a minute and say, hey, who else is feeling down or whatever, and then from there you can elevate up and take those little baby steps.
That's
we got all sorts of comments coming in.
That's right. I think this is probably Gene because it's the classic. Hey guys, I think that's you, Gene, maybe inside the Facebook group. And if it's not,
no, that's Imani.
Oh, never mind.
Martine.
Didn't mean to think you were Gene. Thanks, Imani.
Yeah, she was responding to her. He was, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth. Imani, gender, I'm assuming is female, but maybe I'm completely off. Sorry if I've offended anybody. And so, yeah, Imani is in the art of email marketing, as is Carl, as is Tana.
Nice. Awesome. And Tomo says, nods. I like how it emphasizes the importance of continuity of effort over a hyper focus on whatever milestones have or have not been achieved. Absolutely. I mean, that's like classic process goals versus outcome goals. It's good to have both. Right.
For sure.
And we all get motivated by different types of things and at different points.
Yeah. And sometimes you need that, just the process goal, just going through the things so you can celebrate doing the activity and say, I did something. And then that leads to the next thing. Right.
And so here's the thing. I just took an hour-long nap. Well, it was about 45 minutes. I took a 45-minute long nap before this live stream to help get myself out of the funk I was in. And honestly, it helped, but it didn't solve the problem. And before we went live, I was like, Joshua, I'm gonna like live stream here. And I was uninspired. I didn't have anything to talk about because my head was filled with other non-business related stuff, right? And so we wrote the title here for today's video, and we were talking about, well, what do you do when you don't know what to say, when you don't know what to do? And one of the things that you can do, this is actually a case in point, is you can talk about what's on your mind. You can talk about the process that you're going through and see if anybody else relates to it. And maybe they do, and maybe they don't, but it gives you something to talk about. It gives you a starting point. And that staring at the blank piece of paper, that's where writer's block comes from, is not having that starting point. And so what you can do is you can simply talk about where you're stuck, right? So how do you want to feel? Listen to a song that pumps you up to get into the state and then do it. Absolutely. Absolutely true. Is the name of the game. Exercise is often good. Sometimes if I have a really hot pepper nearby, I'll just eat it. It's a great way to break state, right? There are a lot.
It's interesting about going to sleep. If you've ever noticed this, I mean, definitely if you really get to a deep sleep, you can often come back and be recharged. But oftentimes, you come back at the same point of your, you know, like if you have a really like weird dream, it's usually a function of the fact that you're where your energy was and where you went to recharge is so far different. And when you come back into your body, into the physical state, it's a longer journey to get back from that, you know, like relaxed state of and you pick right back up where the energy was that you were before.
Also, one of the joys of being alive. Marilyn says, "What? Don't you have ideas in your swipe file?" You know, I mean, honestly, Marilyn, I'll tell you the truth. Is that I mean, I guess I probably have a swipe file. I'm pretty bad at taking notes, but when I do take them, I'm even worse at reviewing them. Honestly.
Well, there's having a file of ideas and concepts, and then there's also when you're just in that mood where I don't give a shit. I don't want to do it. I'm just in that funk, and you know, so like there is a bridge out of that, but sometimes these swipe files or the idea files are a bridge too far. You know, like it's already assuming that you're inspired and want to take that action.
That's right.
But look at this. I mean, like we haven't had this kind of interaction across all of the Facebook pages that we're broadcasting to in a long time like this. So this is obviously hitting a nerve, and we had no idea, you know, I mean, like we're just rolling with it.
What types of things get you stuck in a funk? I'm curious. I'll tell you the truth. My funk was catalyzed today by a divorce mediation session. It was brutal. And I'm not going to go into any detail, but that's what threw me off, you know, is dealing with like emotionally some of the hardest possible stuff that's out there. But for you, like what for
you meaning me, or for you meaning everybody else?
For everyone else on this planet that's not me. So definitely you and definitely you who aren't Joshua Shafran as well. What are some of the things that throw you off the rails that cause you to get into a funk that is challenging to get yourself out of? I'm curious.
Well, I mean, I've done a fair amount of work on this for myself. So what I find is that it always goes back to what I call my foundational Fred stories. So there's offshoots of it, but if I am triggered, it's because of me. It's because of some sort of unconscious conditioning that has gone on. And if I can own it and allow it to be there and observe it, then I can trace it back to my foundational Fred, the flat-headed flea story.
And then what?
By observing that's where it came from and letting it be there and stop fighting with it, it actually goes on its way. I'm not judging it. I'm not asking it to be any different. I'm not trying to force it down. I'm not trying to push it away. I'm not trying to ignore it. I'm actually just looking at it, but I'm looking at it from the objective observer's eyes standpoint. Like I got no dog in the no pony in the race. I don't care which way the game goes. So there's no judgment. And when there's no, for me, when I can get there, now oftentimes I'm triggered and I don't get there until later, but when I can, then that's what keeps it around. That's what keeps the funk around.
Right. Keeps the funk around. It's 2:22 and the funk is around. No, we got funk comes when I allow myself to slide into apathy for one reason or another.
That's a great one.
Marilyn says, bad news puts me in a funk. Funk.
Ooh, Tomo,
minor essay, small essay. He says, for me, it is when I feel frustrated with someone's story about me that I don't feel it is true. Way to like actually say something, Tomo. This is good. The more I feel like I am not able to participate in shaping that story with them, the more frustrated I become with what I view as a distortion of my intentions and understanding. Probably the thing that frustrates me more than anything else, besides organization of and maintenance of details.
So one thing that you may want to, Tomo, look at is what's the story that you've got? How do you have it wired that is something that frustrates you?
That's right.
And why is that? Like, I mean, or you don't have to really get into why, but just notice that the reason that you're feeling that is very likely because of the story that you've been telling yourself about that, what that means, the judgment that you feel, or what you feel the label or the sign that it kind of puts around your neck or your shoulders is for some reason like you're rebelling against that because you have a story going on about what that means and what that says about you personally as a person. Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Funk's, there's some good stuff here, man.
The funk is coming right out of our ears. Let's see. Anonymous Facebook user. Sorry. When you if you're in the art of email marketing and you're watching and you make a comment, we actually can't easily see your name on the dashboard here. So sorry, it just says
I believe it's well, Carl's the one that said funk stays when I lose sight of what's really important. I totally agree.
Is that Carl Shatke?
Yes. And then Imani wrote, that's it, taking responsibility of your fear, take notice, no judgment, just give attention like a little child, like to a little child. And you know, like when your 3-year-old or 5-year-old is throwing a temper tantrum and saying, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. You just say, yep, you can continue to hate me. And, right. But that's not going to change my decision or whatever. And that's you right. Still love them. Yeah. The Imani also says being vulnerable in self-expression. Oh, and Carl said, funk comes when I allow myself to slide into apathy. He's the one that said the slide into the apathy for one reason or another. That's Is right. there anything that particularly triggers that for you, Carl?
Eric Oliver. Hey, Eric. Good to see you again, my friend. Lack of sleep and overworking. That's what I'm talking about.
That'll do it.
And then Tomo chimes in. It's definitely a fear of being rejected for a misunderstanding that could have otherwise been avoided. That's the story of my fear, I suppose. We'll contemplate that.
That's cool. Fun. I think you'll be in for some cool awakenings if you do.
That's right.
Purely my opinion, though.
We'll awaken the bejesus right out of you. That's right. Awaken the bejesus within. All right. Not usually. These days, I'm really in a funk. It's great. It's great. You know, the nice thing that I do love about having a fairly short attention span is my funks don't usually stick around that long. But man, I hate them. When I like, and as a hypnotist, like I'm pretty good at anti-funking myself, but even the most funky can be funked sometimes, if you know what I'm saying.
I do. If you can believe it, if you can pick it up what I'm laying down.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny, like these days, not usually in a funk these days, that I get it, because like we all tend to, it's like the thermostat, you know, we talked about this before in prior, you know, like you get set, and when you get used to the set point on your thermostat being at a certain thing, then you stay pretty much in that range. You might get a little high or a little low, depending. And, you know, it's when there's the wild swings. And I think the more that, at least for me, the more that I look at the, you know, I take responsibility and look at for what's going on for me, and realize that the reason I'm feeling the way I'm feeling isn't because of a situation, isn't because there's nothing that made that go. I triggered myself, and I made the decision to react in a certain way. So it's not like, it's never the situation that does it to you. At least in my experience, it's my reaction to the situation. Right. And usually that reaction is a true reaction rather than a reasoned, conscious response. And the reaction just is automatic based on our conditioning, based on, you know, our you know, who we believe that we are, our beliefs, all of that stuff. You know, here's where I was going to go today. We talked about
who knew, right?
Who knew, and like sometimes it's just fun, like opening it to any page and go, an ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain. Let's talk about it. Like, how can we tie that into something? And I'm coming up with ideas right now. Ostrich's eye is bigger than its brain. Well, maybe vision's more important than overthinking things.
Mm-hmm. Well, just the other day, my daughter Lightning was talking about getting a chicken, and she was talking about wanting the chicken to live in the house, and we were talking about getting house chickens. And I was like, "Why do you only want one chicken?" She was like, "More than one chicken would be a lot of chickens to take care of." I was like, "That's true. But I think you should just get an ostrich, because if an ostrich were to lay an egg, we could all have a meal. But a chicken egg, very small. I think ostriches are the answer."
Hey, I just thought about something with an ostrich. Like, here's another tie-in. An ostrich's eyes is bigger than its brain. Well, maybe that's why it buries its head in the sand when it gets scared.
Mm. Did you know that's a myth?
I did not, but
that's what I heard. I've never actually had a close friend as an ostrich, but I've heard that was a myth. Nor have I even owned an ostrich. So, who knew? That's funny. As soon as you pulled out who knew, I pulled out Yannick's Cosmic Journal.
Nice.
And I think that maybe
Max, what's up, man?
Maxalicious. How's it going, dude? Making beef jerky? All right. I'm going to read this page to you guys. I opened up Yannick's Magical Cosmic Journal to page 95 here. Ask wonderfully and receive graciously, it says. This is handwritten by Yannick Silver himself. For so many of us, we find it easier to give than to receive. There's an infinite circuit of both that are required for you. It is like breathing. You cannot simply exhale only, or even inhale forever. That would be silly. But why do we believe this is the natural rhythm that doesn't apply in this other way too? And then there's the infinity sign. And then he says, we are all wired to get deep satisfaction and happiness from giving to someone else. As you receive, you allow that person to also experience the same. Why not ask wonderfully, full of cheerful expectation? Others want to provide for you. The universe is ready to oblige in alignment with your greater purpose. Infinity sign. Receive with grace, the grace of knowing you deserve joyful abundance with full appreciation and an overflowing heart of gratitude like magic. It's a full circle.
Nice.
That's right. Thank you, Yannick Silver. It's a good way. Honestly, I feel better now.
Thanks, and it's amazing like that you moved up several rungs on the domino scale, right? Like 150%, 150%, and there, like it can continue from there if you so chose.
That's right. That's right. On that note, I'm just going to help Yannick out and say, guys, www.cosmicjournal.com.
Yeah, buddy.
This is great. The Cosmic Journal is really, really, really cool. Yannick's been a long-time entrepreneurial friend and buddy. We've never actually done worked on a project together, but I think we're in the process of doing so. And I mean, he's a really great guy, really smart entrepreneur, really good dude, and very, very kind. And he really cares about people.
Yeah, very compassionate, and that's genuine. It's not. It's not a put on.
Yeah. So one other way you can get yourself out of a funk is by talking to somebody awesome, or at least more awesomer than how you're feeling at the moment.
Yeah, but be careful. Because if they're too far awesomer, then that'll piss you off. Because the worst thing that you can say to somebody is just shake it off when they're not in a mood where they're ready and willing to hear that. I mean,
that's right.
As you've experienced firsthand with me, when I'm not ready to get over whatever I'm pissed about, and you say something that is so far above where I'm willing to be in that moment, it's like, boom.
Right. That's right. That's true. That's true. Well, on that note,
time to call it.
I think it's time for a mad science experiment.
Yep, and it's time for me to get back to my video recording and editing and putting that together because I am excited to get that done.
I'm excited for it to be done too. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right. Well, I'll show you my Oobleck. You show me your on-demand presentation.
I'll show me yours. You show me mine.
Nope, that's not where we're going. That's not what I meant to say.
And there you go.
All right, everybody.
Later.
All right. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Joshua.
Thanks,
you,
everybody,
for chiming in and telling me all the awesome stuff.
Yannick has the Kilroy drawing. That's what he said. Yep. Exactly, Tomo. All right, guys. Thank you.
Toodles. Bye.
Bye.